This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news. It's Friday, November 14th, 2025, and here are today's stories. Across Europe, Burqa and niqab bans are sparking heated debate. Are they about social unity or unfairly targeting Muslim women? Communities are wrestling with freedom, identity, and what true integration really means. AI is breaking language barriers in amazing ways, but when translation apps get it wrong, meaning can be lost. Experts are asking how accurate is too accurate and what happens to human translators in a world run by algorithms. The Prince of Parts has seen it all. Rising tariffs and steel prices are reshaping auto supply chains, moving business from China to new markets like Turkey, and shaking dealers, mechanics, and buyers alike. A secret black market is booming. Rare beetles, butterflies, and exotic bugs are selling for big money, thrilling collectors but putting fragile ecosystems at risk around the globe. In New Zealand, the Manuka honey industry is losing its sweetness. Harsh weather and falling exports are forcing beekeepers to shut down, a reminder of how even nature's toughest industries are vulnerable. African safaris are more accessible now than ever. New travel programs are letting people from all walks of life experience the thrill of the wild, turning what used to be a far-off dream into a real adventure. For the past few years, Burqa and niqab bans in parts of Europe have sparked heated debates about identity, freedom, and cultural integration. While some argue these laws promote societal cohesion, others see them as restrictive and discriminatory, targeting a specific group unfairly. This raises important questions. How do such measures truly impact personal freedoms and the dynamics of community interaction? Governments that push for face covering bans usually have a few main arguments. One primary concern is security. The idea that if someone's face is fully covered, it can make it harder for police or cameras to identify them, especially in places like airports or government buildings. Another reason often mentioned is social interaction, with some saying face coverings make communication harder and can signal separation from mainstream society. Supporters also argue it's about women's rights, claiming veils and burqas can represent inequality or even forced oppression. Overall, these laws are often presented as promoting safety, gender equality, and shared social values. These justifications have led several European nations to implement such restrictions. While France, Belgium, Denmark, and Switzerland enforce full bans, others, like the Netherlands and Bulgaria, have opted for more limited restrictions on face coverings in specific public areas. And the trend isn't stopping. Portugal is the latest European country to pass laws against burqas and veils, and their reasons are pretty much the same as the countries that have done it before them.
Portugal's parliament laid down a badass move, a bill banning full-face veils like burqa in public spaces. It's not a law yet, still needs the president's signature, but it's already got people fired up. We are talking fines up to 4,000 euros. And if someone is forcing another person to cover up, they could land in jail. There is room for exceptions, so this is not to oppress minority groups. This is about safety and equality. Seeing someone's face in a public is non-negotiable. Critics are crying that it's discrimination, claiming it targets Muslim women who, let's be real, are a tiny fraction of Portugal's population. But this isn't about picking on anyone because it's about setting a standard that works for everyone. In fact, I traveled to Muslim countries and you bet I covered my shoulders to respect their culture. It wasn't oppression against me, it was just being a decent human, meeting them where they are at. So why it's such a damn controversy when Europe asks for the same respect. This bill isn't coming for anyone's faith. It's about full face coverings, not headscarves. In Portugal, just like in France or Belgium, showing your face in public builds trust. That's a European value. It's how we connect. It's how we know we are all in this together. Sure, some folks say that it alienates minorities. Really? Let's flip the script. You all remember when German schools told kids to cover their shoulders to avoid offending certain religious feelings. That was the host culture bending over backward. Where's the reciprocity here? If I can adapt to their norms abroad, and I did, without complaints, why is it so hard to expect the same in our own culture in Europe? So this ban is a bold step toward a shared, standard respect that goes both ways.
But not everyone is on board with these bans. Human rights groups and legal experts say bans like these can be discriminatory, limiting freedom of religion and personal choice, especially when women are punished for decisions they've made themselves. There's also the question of enforcement. Heavy fines and criminal penalties can push already marginalized people further to the edges of society and make them less likely to engage in public life. Research also suggests the security argument doesn't always hold up. Things like ID checks and security screenings already exist without the need for outright bans on religious clothing. When it comes to whether these bans actually improve integration or reduce gender-based coercion, the evidence is pretty mixed and limited. That's why many argue for more specific evidence-based policies instead of broad prohibitions. The debate isn't just theoretical. New proposals keep adding fuel to the fire. In October, Italy's ruling party introduced a bill to ban full-faced veils in public and tighten rules on foreign religious funding. Meanwhile, in the UK, despite strong public sentiment and intermittent political momentum, no national ban is currently in place, and the debate continues.
At the end of the day, we're living in the West, and to use countries like post-Soviet Kazakhstan, who actually do politicize Islam, instead of dealing with the extremism that should really be, instead of, demonizing and marginalizing women and taking away their human right and choice. Regardless of us wanting to be scholars to interpret, Islam in black and white, saying it is part of religion or not, again, feminism, liberalism, modernization is all about having women have that choice. I understand the personal backgrounds of certain people that go through oppression and come from certain countries in that way. But again, telling a woman what to wear and what not to wear is the same thing. It's not giving her her rights, not giving her her choice. Whether she chooses to wear the burqa or the bikini, that is again how the West and modernization should be. Taking that away is falling into that sort of guise and using it and, as terrorism and extremism. Muslim women are not there trying to, terrorize or invade. They're there to just express their actual freedom.
How many of the women who are wearing the burqa have been given the choice to choose what they wear from birth? Forever and forever, I will be against the burqa because it's a tool of oppression. You have
that is your meaning.
Yes, you have every right. You and I had a conversation earlier this evening, and I asked you about your hijab, and you said you decided that you wanted to choose to wear hijab from your 20s onwards. Prior to that, you had the experience and the life of a woman who had the choice to wear not hijab, right? Majority of the women who are pushed into wearing the burqa do not have a choice in that.
Burqa and niqab bans are as much about politics and identity as they are about clothing. They force societies to answer who belongs in public space and on what terms. As more European countries pick a side, there are deeper issues to play here. Tensions around culture, religion, and what freedom actually looks like. It's hard to say whether these laws bring people together or just create more division. But one thing is clear, the conversation isn't fading anytime soon. Artificial intelligence is completely changing how we overcome language barriers. We've got apps that can translate in real time and smart systems that can understand whole conversations, making it much easier to connect with people globally. But all this advancement brings up some big questions, like how accurate these tools really are, what happens when they mess up, and what it means for human translators and interpreters in a world increasingly run by algorithms. AI has made translating faster, cheaper, and more accessible than ever. Tools like ChatGPT, Google Translate, and DeepL can now produce surprisingly accurate translations in just seconds. For everyday users and businesses, that's a huge plus. Instant communication without the wait or the cost of hiring a professional. However, for professional translators and interpreters, the shift has been more complicated. A 2024 study by the Center for Economic Policy Research found more than 75% of translators expect AI to affect their income as companies rely more on automated tools. The Chartered Institute of Linguists says many professionals are now blending human expertise with AI efficiency to handle bigger workloads. Still, the shift is changing expectations. Clients want faster results at lower prices, often forgetting that true quality requires human touch. As a result, translators are moving into roles like editors, reviewers, and quality checkers, guiding AI rather than competing with it.
I think the amount and or the content of translations that are going to be done by humans only is going to be severely reduced. So I think a lot of the kind of boilerplate and boring work of translation, that's going to be all done by AI. Like a large part of that is already done right now, in the future even more so. I think humans are going to be still incredibly important in this process to kind of guarantee, especially in those like high compliance use cases. If you think about life sciences companies and financial institutions, like there's really the need even now to have multiple human translators on a single piece of text, and it's going to definitely continue. I think we also have to be realistic that on the simplest cases of translation in the most common languages, and in cases where quality doesn't matter so much, I think AI is on itself is going to be doing an amazing job by itself.
When it comes to serious situations like court hearings, hospital consultations, or police reports where AI interpreters are already being tested, the stakes are much higher. These are places where every word matters. A mistranslated phrase in a courtroom could affect a verdict. A misunderstood symptom in a hospital could harm a patient. In U.S. court systems, the National Center for State Courts has been exploring AI translation tools to deal with interpreter shortages, but they emphasize human review is still essential to avoid legal miscommunication. In hospitals, a 2025 study in BMC Health Services research looked at using AI interpretation for pediatric emergency consultations and found that even small translation errors could create big health risks. Meanwhile, police departments are experimenting with AI transcription and translation for reports and body camera footage, which speeds things up but also introduces risks. AI might misread slang, dialects, or emotional tone. Experts warn accuracy and empathy can't be sacrificed for speed. AI might be useful for support, but relying on it completely could easily backfire.
You can't go a hot minute without hearing about AI. It's a lot like the 90s when suddenly everything was .com. Now AI is making waves in interpreting, mostly for cost savings. But there are 3 things you need to keep in mind. 1, it's evolving. AI is improving fast, but it's not a replacement for human interpreters. 2, use it smart. It's great for simple stuff like booking an appointment, but not for 911 calls, medical care, or anything where empathy and accuracy and cultural context matter. And 3, people still matter. Human interpreters bring tone, emotion, and lived experiences. things AI just can't do. AI is promising, but using it responsibly, well, that's the stuff that trust is built on.
AI might be getting smarter by the day, but it's not ready to replace us. Sure, it can translate words in a flash, but it still struggles with things like sarcasm, emotion, and cultural nuance, the stuff that makes language truly ours. The real risk is when we trust it too much. And at the end of the day, AI should be the helper, not the hero, because empathy and understanding will always need a personal touch.
UNN Field Messenger Amy interviews Ron, a legendary auto parts dealer known as the Prince of Parts, on how tariffs and rising steel prices reshaped the industry, shifting supplies from China to countries like Turkey.
Hi, Amy reporting for UNN from Union, New Jersey. And today I'm going to interview Ron, who works for one of the top auto parts distributors in the state of New Jersey. So let's find out how the tariffs have affected the auto part industry. So this is Ron, and he's going to tell us about the auto part industry. Now, COVID, I know, kind of changed the world a lot. So can you tell me when you first saw big increases in auto parts?
Well, Amy, prior to COVID, during President Trump's first term, we saw the initiation of tariffs, which were imposed on all goods coming into the country. So that's where tariffs first became a reality to us. Get to COVID, where we had supply chain issues, and with no one working, we had shipping concerns, rail concerns, cargo shipment concerns. That further rose the cost of goods because of the shipping problems. Now, fast forward to President Trump's second term. Now is when the true tariffs have really hit the American consumer and the products that come into our country, where steel, rubber, aluminum, products that are brought in from China, Japan, Vietnam, India, Turkey, Mexico for a while, Canada for a while. However, we see that has been rescinded to a degree, but they're taxed anywhere from a minimum of 5% as much as 50% in goods. Steel, we've seen the most significant increases. In the auto parts business, brake rotors and brake drums are what stops the American consumer's car. Those prices have rose dramatically. When you go and do a brake job, what was maybe once $250 is now a $300 or a $350 bill just for the cost of parts.
Now, do they manufacture parts in the States?
There's a lot of products that are manufactured here in the States. However, the raw material comes in from all these countries. So the cost of the goods, even while they're made here or assembled here in the United States, the cost of the parts go up. A shock absorber, for instance, the raw material comes in from China, from Japan, from India, yet it's maybe assembled in a plant in Kansas City or Texas. However, because the parts came in from out of the country, it drove the cost of the part up.
And in your business too, how about when you go to sell stuff, like has labor costs and stuff increased?
So everything goes up. The minimum wage in the country has gone up significantly. What was once a $12 an hour warehouse position is now a $16 an hour warehouse position or more. It's driven the cost of parts up. Further, the cost of labor, because of all the raw material going up, it costs the shop more to operate. So that further increases labor costs. So of course the cost of a car being repaired is going to go up from there. Now, if you're going to ask me what is less money, is it worth it to buy a new car, or is it better to repair your old one? One can easily see that the rise of used cars on the market today have gone from 11 years of age to almost 13 years of age. That's a 2-year jump. To get to the 2-year jump, the amount of cars that are on the road for far more than 13 years is driving the age of the car older. So I think that's where you're seeing a lot of people fixing their cars rather than being able to afford a new car, because the prices of new cars, because of all the raw material, has gone up. It's a hard environment to operate in. I'm so glad that I am not an owner of a business. I was for a significant amount of time, but today I could not imagine what my boss and our CFO go through in order to manage our business.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
At New Earth Innovations, we search the planet for nature's most powerful healers. This took us all the way to the coast of New Zealand. Our Omega 369 Plus is made from the Perna greenlip mussel, rich in omegas, chondroitin sulfate, and rare glycosaminoglycans. The Perna is one of nature's powerhouses. Support joint flexibility, easier breathing, better digestion, and a calmer, less inflamed body, naturally. Grown in clean New Zealand waters, backed by nature, sustainably sourced, trusted by thousands. Subscribe today and start feeling the difference.
Hi everyone, this is Leanne.
And I'm Jerry.
Coming to you from Tamworth, New South Wales.
Hi there, this is Rick from Arizona.
My name is Uchechukwu Ogbenebam from Igbo tribe, Nigeria.
Hi, this is Scott from Utah.
I'm Annette from Agassiz, British Columbia.
Hi, I'm Marcus Surzet from Manipur State, India.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. That's what United Network News is all about.
Can you clap?
We had a huge flood, which some call the flood of the century.
No fake news here. Our field messengers share personal experiences of what's really happening in their community.
We got some nice fish right here.
At UNN, you are the news.
My family and I had a very good time.
Take the next step. Become a UNN field messenger and share the real news with the world.
In the northwest province of South Africa, I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News, and if it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's going to be, it's up to me. If it is going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to us. Field Messages, United Network News. See you next time.
There's a growing black market most people never think about. One built not on ivory or exotic bird feathers, but on wings, antennae, and tiny legs. Around the world, an underground insect trade is quietly taking off, fueled by collectors, breeders, and hobbyists willing to pay big money for rare species. The profits can be shockingly high, and the consequences even higher. The illegal insect trade is now a multi-million-dollar global business, feeding a mix of people who see rare bugs as trophies or exotic pets. Some are drawn by curiosity, others by profit. Either way, the result is the same. Insects being plucked from their native habitats and sold to the highest bidder, often halfway around the world. Because insects are small and easy to hide, this kind of smuggling slips through the cracks of most border security systems. A few vials in a suitcase or a padded envelope in the mail can carry hundreds of live insects. Each one can sell for hundreds of dollars. It's discreet, lucrative, and for now, largely under-policed.
These men want to remain anonymous. They've spotted an ant colony, armed with their machetes. They are looking for the queen, the most expensive of all.
There's always a queen in every colony.
Officially, these men are farmers, but this new job has become more lucrative.
We were out in the fields when a man asked if we could find some insects. He said he'd pay. At first, it was about 20 euros. Now, for a queen, he pays more than 30. He's Kenyan, but we're not allowed to contact him. Even when we have the insects, he's the one who always reaches out and resells them immediately.
Cases of illegal insect trading have been popping up worldwide, from illegal butterfly collections in Asia to rare beetles traded online from South America. Many of these trades happen in plain sight, quietly embedded in online marketplaces, private collector groups, and social media posts that disappear as fast as they go up. Sellers often claim their insects come from captive breeding, but in many cases, those specimens are taken directly from the wild. Labels are faked, paperwork is forged, and the lines between legal and illegal trade blur quickly. Earlier this year, customs officials in Belgium stumbled upon what looked like a bizarre science project. Rows of tiny test tubes, each with a live ant queen inside, cushioned with cotton so she could breathe. It turned out to be anything but innocent. The insects were bound for Kenya, part of a much larger insect smuggling operation that stretched across continents. The case exposed just how organized and global this new kind of wildlife crime has become.
2 Belgian teenagers were sentenced in Kenya in a bizarre ant smuggling business. You see, the Kenyan court has ruled in favor of the giant queens after 4 men, including the 2 teenagers, were found guilty of antagonizing and attempting to kidnap 5,000 live queen ants out of Africa. And this anticipated tiny victory cast a ray of hope in underground ant communities across the continent. Look, the current economy has driven wildlife trafficking to new heights because even crime has been forced to go micro, leading to an illegal insect trade crawling under the radar. Now, the 2 Belgians claimed collecting ants was just a hobby and insisted they did not know it was illegal. But the ant didn't bite it, the judge didn't buy it, and now they are paying for it, either with 12 months behind bars or a minimum fine of 7,700 USD each.
Scientists are sounding the alarm because insects aren't just background creatures. They're the engine of ecosystems, responsible for pollinating crops, recycling nutrients, and feeding countless other species. When smuggling removes large numbers from the wild, it doesn't just threaten the insects themselves. It disrupts pollination, slows waste breakdown, and weakens soil health. The risks don't stop there. Shipping live insects across borders also opens the door for invasive outbreaks, like the red imported fire ant or destructive beetle species that have cost countries billions in lost crops, tree damage, and control efforts. Experts say solving the problem requires better tracking and stronger oversight, including updated species lists, trained customs officers, and forensic tools like DNA barcoding to identify insects quickly. Online marketplaces also need attention, since many trades occur openly on social media or niche platforms. Partnerships with these platforms could help regulators monitor listings, catch repeat sellers, and stop illegal activity. Education is equally important, with museums, zoos, and educators highlighting the vital role insects play and why taking them from the wild isn't harmless curiosity, but ecological theft.
Today, UNN Field Messenger Rick takes us on an African safari, showing that these incredible adventures are for everyone, making a faraway dream an experience anyone can enjoy.
Hello, this is Rick Perkins reporting for United Network News. Here in the heart of Kenya's Masai Mara, the land stretches endlessly beneath the golden skies, a living rhythm of life that breathes with the wind and the wild. The sacred place is not only home to the great migrations and untamed beauty, but also to the proud Masai people, guardians of balance, culture, and respect for the earth. When many hear the word safari, they often imagine a journey meant only for the wealthy. the faraway dream reserved for the few. But here, the truth. There are many paths through the Mara, each one open to every traveler who feels called to walk gently with nature. There are entry-level safaris for the wanderers or adventurers who seek to be close to the pulse of the earth. These often include budget-friendly tent camps, where you sleep beneath the vast safari sky, hearing the symphony of the wild just beyond your canvas walls. These experiences are raw, real, and deeply immersive, allowing travelers to connect directly with the spirit of the land and its people. Then there are mid-range safaris, offering a balance of comfort and adventure. At places like the Pride Inn Lodge, guests can choose from simple tents to spacious suites, proof that the Mara welcomes all. Here, travelers enjoy warm hospitality, hearty meals, and the rhythm of the savannah just steps away. Each morning begins with the soft glow of the sunrise over the grasslands, and each evening ends with stories shared by the fire beneath the stars. For those seeking luxury, there's also 5-star lodges that blend elegance with ecology, where no comfort is spared, yet commitment to sustainability remains strong. These sanctuaries are often built with local materials powered by solar energy and dedicated to preserving the delicate ecosystems that surround them. From the simplest tent to the most refined suite, every experience within the Mara carries the same sacred truth. You are entering a living sanctuary. Here, wildlife is free to roam as it has for thousands of years, and the caretakers, the guides, the rangers, and the lodge teams are deeply committed to protecting this balance. Across all these journeys, one message is clear. The Masai Mara is not just a destination, it's a living classroom, a home, and a reminder of humanity's shared responsibility. Whenever you travel, simple or in splendor, you become part of a greater story, one of harmony, protection, and reverence for life. So come with respect, walk gently, and let the Mara teach you the art of coexistence. For in her heart, there is a space for everyone, every traveler, every budget, every dreamer who longs to reconnect with the wild. This is Rick Perkins reporting from the Masai Mara in Kenya with grace, gratitude, and love. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Are you ready to change the world? Take the next step and join our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Learn more at unitednetwork.earth. I am United Network News, and so are you.